Hello everyone, I welcome you all in the class of social science today, and today we will do the chapter number 7 of geography, and the name of the chapter is Lifeline of National Economy. Here I just want to tell you one more thing. This is the last chapter of our syllabus. After completion of this chapter, our geography syllabus till the final exams is completed. So let's move to the first topic, that is transport. Okay, so firstly we will cover what is the meaning of transport. Students, you know that transport refers to the activity that facilitates the physical movement of goods as well as individuals from one place to another. So in business, if we talk about, it supports trade and industry in carrying raw material to the place of production and distributing finished products for consumption. Okay, so now we will move to the next topic, that what do you mean by the types of transports, or what are the means of the transports. Students, I know that you must have a base of these topics, that what are the means of transport. And if we talk about now means of transport, it's covered like a water, land, air. In land we are having roadways, railways, pipelines. If we talk about water transport, we are having inland, overseas. And if we talk about air we are having domestic airways, international airways, private airlines, public undertakings, etc. After that we are having communication also. So communication is also having two types, that is personal communication and mass communication. Now the question arises, what is personal communication and mass communication? Personal communication, if we talk about, you know that when we talk, suppose when we call to someone, fine, and there is a discussion between the two peoples, one is dialer and second is receiver. So this is called a personal communication. Okay, so now next is mass communication. Mass communication, it means when we talk to lots of people in a one time. Okay, suppose the Prime Minister of India, okay, that is Narendra Modi, is going to give a speech to for the whole Indian people, or he is going to address the whole Indian people. It will be called like a mass communication. Okay, there are different ways of mass communications, means of mass communication: radio, okay, internet, televisions, etc. Now after that we will discuss the means of transports in detail. First of all we will take land transport, in which we will talk about firstly the roadways. Students, if we talk about road transport, India has one of the largest road network in the world, aggregating to about 2.3 million kilometers at present. And in India, roadways have preceded railways also. They still have an edge over railways in view of the ease with which they can be built and maintained. Okay, in India, if we talk about, roads are also classified. We will do the classifications later on, but firstly I just want to tell you what type of features we are having of roads. Okay, so roads can traverse comparatively more dissected and undulating topography. Roads are beneficial in each and every type of weather conditions. Okay, roads can negotiate higher gradients of slopes, and as such can traverse mountains such as Himalayas. And road transport is economical also. Okay, the construction cost is too less in maintaining, or as we can say that in construction of roads. Okay, so road transport is economical in transportation of few persons also, and in a relatively smaller amount of goods over short distances. And it also provides a door-to-door service. So it is only the transport which provides us door-to-door service. Okay, so thus the cost of loading and unloading is much lower. Road transport is also used as a feeder to other modes of transport. Why it is known as a feeder to other modes of transport? Such as they provide a link between railway stations. Suppose you want to go to the railway station or any airport, which transportation you will first use? That is road. So that's why road transport is known as a feeder transport. Okay, road transport, it provides a link between the different railway stations, air and seaports. Now we will move to the next topic, which is also related to roads, that is the classification of roads. Okay, so in India, roads are classified into 6 types. Okay, first is golden quadrilateral superhighways. The government has launched a major road development project linking Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai and Delhi by 6-lane superhighways. The north-south corridor linking Srinagar and Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu and east-west corridor connecting Silchar and Porbandar are part of this project. So the major objective of these superhighways is to reduce the time and distance between the mega cities of India. Okay, these highways projects are being implemented by the National Highway Authority of India, which is also known as NHAI. Next type of road we are having national highways. And these link extreme parts of the country. Yes, national highways link extreme parts of the country. These are the primary road system and are laid and maintained by the Central Public Works Department. Okay, one question is ready here. Yani, you people are supposed to do the features of all the roads. Okay, and firstly, and you are supposed to do the particular question also, that who maintains all these roads. So national highways, they are maintained by the department which is known as a CPWD. One mark question can come to you related to this topic. Okay, so these are the primary road system and are laid and maintained by the Central Public Works Department. A number of major national highways are run in north, south and east, west directions. The historical Sher Shah, we can say that Sher Shah Suri Marg, it is also called a national highway number 1. Okay, between Delhi and Amritsar. So this was all about national highways. Now we will move to the next roadways, that is state highways. So state highways are the roads that links a state capital with different districts headquarters. Okay, so these are known as the state highways. Again, I am telling you, roads that linking a state capital with different district headquarters are known as state highways, and these roads are constructed and maintained by one department also, and the name of that department is PWD. If you remember, in national highways we have done the department that was a CPWD. Here it's a PWD, Public Works Department. Fine. And union territories also are responsible for the maintenance of such type of roads. So next we will move to the district roads. So district roads are connected with the district headquarters with other places of the districts. Okay, so whenever you will get the question that what are district roads, your answer can be that these roads connect the district headquarters with other places of the district, and these roads are maintained by Zilla Parishad. Okay, so Zilla Parishad is responsible for the maintenance of all district roads. Now next and the last type of roads we are having, that are other roads. Okay, so rural roads which link rural areas and villages with towns are classified under this category. I'm again telling you, rural roads which link rural areas and villages with towns are classified under this category, and these roads received special impetus under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Under this scheme, special provisions are made so that every village in the country is linked to a major town in the country by an all-season motorable road. So again, one more question is ready for you, that who prepares all or maintained the other roads. So its maintenance is done under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Okay, students, let's have a short description about border roads also. Apart from all these roads, Border Roads Organization, a government of India, undertaking constructs and maintains roads in the bordering areas of the country. This organization was established in 1960 for the development of roads of strategic, importance in the northern and northeastern border areas. And these roads have improved accessibility in areas of difficult terrain and have helped in the economic development of these areas. With the completion of border roads, our topic of classification of roads is also completed. Let's move to the next topic, that is Indian Railways. Railways are the principal mode of transportation. For what? For freight and passengers in India. So railways also make it possible to conduct multifactorial activities like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, along with transportation of goods over longer distances. Okay, so railways in India bind the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of the industry and agriculture. Okay, but Indian Railways are also facing some problems, you know. That what type of problems? You can have you can have a 3 marks question related to this topic, that Indian Railways are also facing some challenges. What type of problems Indian Railways are facing? They are facing the problems like theft cases. Okay, people damage the public property, railway property. Third point we can make in this regard, like people travel without tickets, they pull the chain without any rhyme or reason. So these are the problems that are going to be faced by Indian Railways. Railways. So after the completion of railways topic, we will move to the pipelines. Okay, pipeline transport. So pipeline transport network is a new arrival on the transportation map of India. In the past, these were used to transport water to cities only and to industries also. Now these are used for transporting crude oil, petroleum products and natural gas from oil and natural gas fields to refineries. Okay, so solids can also be transported through a pipeline, but firstly it has to convert it into slurry. Okay, so the far inland location of refineries like Barauni, Mathura, Panipat and gas-based fertilizer plants could be thought of only because of pipelines. So these are these important networks of pipeline transportation in the country. First we are having Uttar Pradesh, Guwahati, Barauni, Allahabad. It has branches from Barauni to Haldia also. Okay, Rajband to Morigram and Guwahati to Siliguri also. Students, pipeline system is very important. You know, it's a it created in that areas only where we can't laid railways, we can't make any roadways, less population is over there. Okay, in that areas where access is too difficult, so we laid pipelines over there. I want to tell you one more thing. Initial cost of laying pipeline is high, but running cost is very low. Now this topic is completed. We will move to the next topic, that is water transport. So now we are doing water transport, waterways. Okay, I told you initially in the initially about this chapter that we will definitely do the features of each and every transport. Okay, so now if we talk about the waterways, since time immemorial India was one of the seafaring countries actually. Its seamen sailed far and near, thus carrying and spreading Indian commerce and culture. Waterways are the cheapest means of transport. When you will get the question that what are the features of waterways, first point you can make in this way, like it's the cheapest means of transport. They are most suitable for carrying heavy and bulky goods. It is a fuel efficient and environment friendly also. Okay, India has inland navigation waterways of 14,500 kilometers in length. Out of these, only 3,700 kilometers are navigable by mechanized boats. So following waterways have been declared as a national waterways by the government. You can have a one mark question, which are the national waterways, declared by the government. So we are having the Ganga river between Allahabad and Haldia, the Brahmaputra river between Sadri and Dhubri, the West Coast Canal in Kerala, and Chapkara canals. The other viable inland waterways, they are the Godavari, Krishna, Barak, Sundarbans, Buckingham Canal, Brahmani, East-West Canal, and the Damodar Valley, etc. Okay, so in waterways we will do the definitely the major seaports. Full-fledged map question comes in the board exams, like what are the major seaports and international airports. Okay, for this you have to do the map work also, which is already given in your book on the page number 89. Okay, I'll show you that map also. You all are supposed to do the whole international airports and major ports of India. Okay, total 11 to 12 ports are there, and international ports are 6 to 7. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the map of major ports and international airports, which you have to cover through book also, and you have to prepare for your board exams also. So this is a full-fledged map related to Indian major ports and international airports. First airport we are having Amritsar, Raja Sansi. Second we are having Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport. Then we are having Hyderabad, Chhatrapati Shivaji Rao in Mumbai. And the next we are having Chennai Airport. Fine. So now we will do the particular ports. First we are having Kandla port. Students, Kandla port, we are having some history related to this port also. Actually earlier there was a Karachi port, but when the partition was there between India and Pakistan, Karachi went to Pakistan. Okay, I mean Karachi, came into the after independence, Karachi become the part of the Pakistan. So in the replacement of Karachi, one port is created over there in that area, that is Kandla port. Okay, both name, I mean both the first letter name for first letters are common in all in both names. Kandla K, Karachi also K. Fine. So next we are having airport, that is Jawaharlal Nehru port. Okay, and after that Marmagao, then New Mangalore. After New Mangalore we are having the particular Kochi. Okay, Kochi port, and the next is Vishakhapatnam port, then Paradweep port. Next we are having in Kolkata, that is the Haldia port. One airport is also located in this state, that is the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, so these was all about the seaport and airport. You all are required, you all are supposed to complete this map, and you have to paste the map on your notebooks also. Okay, one political map of India you have to arrange, then you have to fill it. So after the map work, we will move to the next transport, that is airways. Okay, the air travel today is the fastest, most comfortable and prestigious mode of transport. Air travel is not within the reach of common people. If we talk about it, is only in the northeastern states that special provision are made to extend the services to the common people. You know why? Why in northeastern states the special provision are made to extend the services to the common people? Because of the dense forest over there. Due to the dense forest, no railways, rail lines, railways can be laid over there. No roads can be maintained over there, or we can say that constructed over there. So that's why northeastern states the special provisions are made to extend the services to the common people. Okay, the people of that areas only travel via airways. The air transport was nationalized in 1953. On the operational side, and Indian Airlines, Alliance Air, subsidiary of Indian Airlines, private schedule airlines, and non-schedule airlines and non-schedule operators that provide domestic air services. If we talk about Air India provides international air services, Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited, they provide helicopter services to Oil and Natural Gas Commission in its offshore operations. Okay, so airways, if you will get the question that what are the features of airways, firstly your first point will be like it's a prestigious mode of transport, and it is very important for the bulky goods, and for cover the long distances in a short time.